Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the Luscious Collection for Fall 2020 by Zoya. These are available right now, so in the description box below I will link the Zoya site, I will link their Instagram page, and I will link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything from this collection. Two, I did want to know, I don't normally do this, but I did change out all of the brushes for the Z-Wide brushes. There's a lot of hype about them and about how fantastic they are, and I really enjoy the regular Zoya brushes, so I did want to go ahead and see how the Z brushes performed, so I did replace all of the brushes in today's video with their Z brushes. So you can get Z brushes for $2 more each, but there is talk that Zoya is making it an option at checkout to either have the Z-Wide brush or the regular brush. I don't know how true that is or when it's going to happen, but there is talk about it. So we do have 12 polishes to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we have Lisa, and this is a deeper cranberry red cream. So here is our first coat of Lisa. This covers really well here on this first coat, virtually a one coater. I am going to show you what two coats looks like today. It does deepen the color just a little bit and cover up any uneven spots that might have been done from application error. I didn't have any kind of running, pulling, or staining, and these Z-Wide brushes do help to get right along my cuticle line and make it a nice rounded edge. So here is that second coat, and this is completely opaque in two coats. This is going to dry pretty glossy all on its own. I would recommend a top coat for longevity. So there's two coats. Up next we have Soliel, and this is a gold metallic foil. Here's our first coat of Soliel. This one also covers really well here on this first coat. Not quite opaque, so I am going to go in for a second, but again, a very smooth, very easy to work with formula. No running or pulling on this one either. There are some brush strokes through this when it's wet. Those do all go away as it dries. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in two coats. This one dries a little bit on the dull side, so I would recommend a top coat for that. Nothing in this is going to dry textured or stick to your nails like a glitter, but these little metallic flakes do get everywhere. So there is two coats. Next up we have Tasha, and this is a deeper chocolate brown metallic foil. Here's our first coat of Tasha. This one covers really well here on this first coat. Virtually, again, a one coater. I am going to go in for a second coat. It doesn't deepen the base color. It just makes a nice even application. So you could totally stop on one coat of this if you're happy with your application. So here's our second coat, and this is completely opaque in two for me. This one also dries a little bit dull, so you will want top coat. Again, this one does have a little bit of brush strokes through it when it's wet. Those do go away as it dries, and just like the last one, nothing will dry textured or stick to your nails. So there is two coats. Next up we have Mel, and this is an olive green cream. Here's our first coat of Mel. This one is a little bit streaky and sheer here on this first coat, but again, a very smooth formula to work with. I had no running, pulling, or staining with this one. There are little bumps throughout my application. I think those are cotton ball fuzzies hanging out because I didn't have those when I swatched it the last time. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in two coats. This is going to dry nice and glossy all on its own. Again, I would recommend going ahead and using a top coat just to keep your manicure lasting as long as possible. So there is two coats. Up next we have Lou, and this is a darker cobalt blue cream. Here's our first coat of Lou. This one is a little bit sheer and a little bit streaky here on this first coat, but overall really good coverage on this one. Formula is much the same as the others, very smooth, easy to work with, and I do credit this Z-Wide brush to getting as close to my cuticle as possible and not having any flooding. So here is our second coat, and that does cover completely in two coats. This one, just like the rest of the creams, does dry nice and glossy all on its own, but again, you should always wear a top coat just to protect your manicure and keep it lasting. So there is two coats. Up next we have Tommy, and this is a lighter kind of dusty blue cream. Here's our first coat of Tommy. Considering how light this is, this covers really, really well here on this first coat. Minimal streaking on the first coat as well. I am going to show you what 2 coats looks like for full opacity today. Formula on this one is also smooth, not too thick or too thin. Again, no running, pooling, or staining. So here is our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. This one, just like the rest of the creams, will dry nice and glossy all on its own, but again, a top coat is recommended. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have Sharon, and this is a magenta purple cream. Here's our first coat of Sharon. This one is a little bit sheer and a little bit streaky here on this first coat. But again, no running, pooling, or staining issues. Very smooth formula to work with. I feel like Zoya does the creams really well, and they're all really beginner friendly. So here is our second coat that does deepen the base color significantly and build it up to full opacity. This one is just going to dry as glossy as the rest of the creams does, so I would recommend top coat still for longevity. There's 2 coats. Next up we have Bentley, and this is a deeper eggplant purple cream. Here is our first coat of Bentley. This one covers pretty well here on this first coat. It's just a little bit uneven, so I am going to show you what 2 looks like today. Even that up a bit and cover up any kind of streaks. Formula is, again, fantastic. No running, pooling, staining, no application issues whatsoever. So here is our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2. This one also dries nice and glossy all on its own. I would recommend both a base and top coat for more pigmented shades like this to avoid any kind of potential staining. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have Andrea, and this is an oil slick kind of color where you're only going to see one shift. If I change my light, you can see this one goes from a blue to a purple to a green to a gold. Here's our first coat of Andrea. This one is really pigmented, really opaque here on this first coat. I'm going to build it up in 2 today. If you wanted to, you could layer this over a black and get a similar effect as well. Formula is fantastic. You do have some brush stroking through this shimmer when it's wet, but again, those do go away as it dries. I'm going to change up my lighting here for the second coat just so you can see more of that teal to purple shift. This is completely opaque in 2 coats. It does dry decently glossy all on its own. I would recommend a top coat still. It'll give it that nice plump finished look. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have Teresa, and this one is kind of a hard one for me to describe in color. It's kind of a rosy purple, and then it's got a purple to pink shifting shimmer. Here's our first coat of Teresa. This one is a little bit sheer on this first coat. I'm going to build this one up in 2 coats today. Formula is very smooth, easy to work with, no running, pooling, or staining. The shimmer that's in this is very subtle but very beautiful. You can definitely see it on your nails. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. You are going to want top coat to finish this one off. It does dry on the more dull side of things. Nothing in this is going to dry textured because it's all that micro shimmer, and nothing in this is going to Next up we have Wanda, and this is a lighter, brighter, almost bubblegum pink Crelly, and it does have a gold micro flick in it. So here's our first coat of Wanda. This one is pretty sheer here on this first coat. I am going to build it up in 2 coats today. This one and the next one are the only ones that I think could pass as 2 or 3 coaters depending on your application. I was happy with this one in 2 though. Formula is very smooth, easy to work with. This gold flash stands out really, really nicely on the nail. This is completely opaque, like I said, in 2 for me. This gold flake flash that's in here dries smooth. Nothing's going to dry textured or stick to your nail when trying to remove it. And I really hope, now that I'm thinking about it, this was named after Wanda from the Fairly Odd Parents. So there is 2 coats. And lastly for today we have Patrice, and this is a dusty mauve curly with that same gold flake. And here's our first coat of Patrice. Again, this one is one of the more sheer ones in the collection. I am also going to build this one up in 2 coats today. I was happy with how that looked, but again, depending on your application, how white your nail line is, how thin you do your coats, you might end up needing 3. So like I said, this is opaque in 2. Formula on this one is, again, fantastic, smooth, easy to work with. This gold flash stands out really, really nicely, and just like the last one, it lies flat, so nothing's going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So there is 2 coats. So I did have 2 standouts from the collection. This was a super heavy purple collection, so this wasn't my favorite release that Zoya's ever done, but there were a lot of beautiful things in here. The first thing is Mel. I love an olive green. I think they're perfect for the entire year, so obviously this was a favorite for me. And then my other favorite is Lisa. This kind of, it really matches my shirt. This kind of like deeper cranberry red I think is really stunning. I don't wear reds often, but I love how they look on me, and this was kind of a reminder to like, hey, put on a pretty red every once in a while. So I really like Lisa, and I really like Mel from this collection. So as far as the Z-wide brushes go, I really liked them. I had to refilm my Instagram swatch videos 2 times, so I filmed them a total of 3 times for each polish, just because I kept flooding my cuticles, and the wide brush is pretty wide for me from what I'm used to from Zoya, so I did have a little bit of a learning curve with that, but after I got it down, it was totally easy. I did love how they performed, so I really, really like the Z-wide brushes, and I do want to go ahead and purchase quite a bit of them and replace some of my more finicky formulas from Zoya with them. I think it'll make it a little bit easier of an application. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these polishes. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.